Welcome to Thinking Tackle. We are in France, about an hour south of Paris. I'm just travelling through the beautiful village of Tombe, over the fantastic River Seine to a complex called Trois Iles, Three Islands. And it's our annual sales summit. So it's all the salesmen from right the way across Europe, from the north of Italy, right down to the south of France, Germany, Belgium, Holland as well. And they're all carp anglers, and it's our opportunity to basically get together once a year, review how things have gone, talk about strategy for next year, but at the same time fish for massive fish. And Trois Iles is an amazing place. I've never fished it before, but I've seen the pictures of the fish that swim here, and you know, you've got fish over 80 pounds swimming around and loads of them as well. And with all the guys from the different countries, we've got Spooner here from the UK, Johnny Mann as well. You know, there's a lot of different angling styles, and you know, with all that sort of information and experience coupled together, I'm sure we're going to get amongst a few fish. It's the end of November, so it's not going to be easy. We're almost at winter time now. You know, we've got tons of bait packed in the back of the van. We've got every type of rig and tactic known to man at our disposal. And the idea is we get together every day and have a few meetings, but at the same time fish as effectively as we can. And that's what we want to share with you. How are you going to fish one of these sort of pay lake venues that gets a lot of pressure all the way through the year? How are we going to tackle it so you can do the same in your own fishing? So I think this is the entrance coming up here.
Trois Iles is unlike any pay lake I've ever fished in France. The huge main island with its massive mature trees make you feel more like you're in the Colne Valley than rural France. The 12 of us will be well spread round its 75 acres, and being such a big lake with such a cool shape, it offers every kind of fishing you could want, from the margins right out to ultra long range. Because I've got the unenviable job of choosing everyone's swim, I got there a day early and walked the lake well into darkness, but heard very little shows, which is not exactly ideal. The lake did less than 10 fish last week, so it's going to take some solid angling by the guys to get into double figures between us. On the plus side, we do have Spooner, a serious guy who goes quietly about his business. After some serious thought, I've put each of the team in a swim that I know suits their fishing style, so as a group we make the best of the week ahead. It puts a lot of pressure on me to keep people motivated, but they're all very tidy anglers, so I've got complete faith in their ability. Spooner needs all the help he can get, so I've put him in the dolly hole. It did the most fish last week, so no pressure spoons. His day job is to manage the UK sales team, and 4 times a year he gets to gallivant off around the world making monster carp. It's a dirty job, but someone's got to do it, eh Spoons?
Right, I've had a little bit of a result in that I've managed to get in peg 17. Now last week the guy that was in here managed, I think, 7 bites, landed 6 fish to over 50 pound. Now whenever you follow someone in like that, there's 2 trains of thought. Has he caught a load of fish and scared them out? Or is there still some more there, hopefully even bigger, that I'm going to catch? Well, I'm going to go with the second train of thought, because since I've been in the swim, I've already seen a fish show round in the area they seem to be holding up in. There's a big sunken snag, which is probably 130 yards down the margin, but I'm actually only fishing at 24 wraps, which is 96 yards. So I'm nowhere near the snags, but I know that's where the guy was fishing. So I think what they're doing, the fish are holding up in those snags, then under cover of darkness, they're coming, they're creeping out this way. And I've actually walked down the margin, seen where my marker float was, and sprayed a bit of boilie all the way around it. Not too much, it's the back end of November, it's still really cold. So I've gone with a couple of 100 boilies, which is just enough to get them rooting around and hopefully find one of the ones that's got my hook in it. Now with regards to hook baits, I always like to start a session going with 3 completely different flavours, and then sometimes if you start to get a few bites, you really can see a preference that the carp want to go for. On the right hand rod I've got a fibre bottom bait tipped with a sherbet goo tipper, nice vibrant yellow in colour, really fruity, and sometimes that flash of colour is exactly what's needed to get the bite. Now I do know that the guy before me had most of his bites on white coloured hook baits, so the other 2, whilst they're both tipped with white, they're both slightly different flavour. One's the new almond goo and the other one is the tried and tested buttercorn. So hopefully over the course of the session we'll get a few bites, start to ring the changes if we need to, and hopefully be holding one of them big boys up for the camp.
At the opposite end of the lake is Daniel Stern. He's part of the German sales team covering a huge area from Frankfurt right down to the Slovenian border. Daniel does over 60,000 kilometres a year visiting the German tackle shops, which is a mammoth effort, yet he still finds time to do his own fishing and film with the German team. Daniel's known as a bit of a caster, so swim 8 with its sunken tree at 120 yards is perfect for him.
Heute Morgen wurde die Plätze ausgesucht. Danny hat für mich Platz 8 ausgesucht. Es ist eine Insel vor mir, 140 Meter bis an die Insel ran. Ich versuche mal auf 120 Meter daran zu angeln. Ich fische gerne Wafter, die ganze Saison jetzt schon. Werde auch hier auf Wafter setzen, mit Fluorocarbon-Rig, ein D-Rig mit einem Crank X verwende ich das gerne. Ich habe in meinem Swim die Möglichkeiten, viel Wasser halt vor mir, flachere Bereiche mit Totholz. Es gibt an der Insel weit draußen Bereiche, die bis auf 5 Meter abfallen. Später in der Woche wird das Wetter nochmal wechseln, es wird wärmer werden. So werde ich verschiedene Plätze anfüttern, um zu gucken, um taktisch Fische an verschiedenen Spots anzusprechen. Werde nachts schauen, ob Fische hochkommen und entsprechend darauf versuchen zu reagieren.
Further down the lake in swim 6 is big Frank Carrossier. Frank is our salesman in the west of France, covering another huge area from Normandy right down to the Pyrenees. Frank's probably the biggest caster in the European team and he needs to be in swim 6. It's at the very edge of my abilities, with an island margin starting at 120 yards, disappearing right out to over 200 yards. The range means fish live here most of the time, and if you can't reach them at this time of the year, you're not even in the game.
Alors Danny m'a confié ce poste parce que pour mes capacités de lanceur, la première île se trouve on va dire à 110 mètres et puis elle part donc, et crée un goulet, et à ma droite une autre petite île qui elle se trouve à une distance on va dire de 100 mètres sur la grande île, mais au plus près de moi, donc à environ 120 mètres. C'est une première canne pêche là-dessus, et après en escalier je suis remonté vers le goulet avec une canne qui pêche en chaude pour intercepter les poissons qui viendraient du goulet et qui voudraient rentrer sur l'amorçage. Quant à la ligne de droite, eh ben, elle pêche un arbre mort, donc ça sera en singles avec juste 10 bouillettes éparpillées autour, et on verra en cours de semaine comment évoluer sur ce spot.
I asked the group to keep boat activity to a minimum to help us all get more bites. At Trois Iles you're allowed to use a boat for finding spots and for baiting, but all rigs must be cast from the bank. The Europeans definitely have the edge when it comes to boat work, and I for one wish I'd investigated my swim with an echo sounder at the start of the week. An hour in the boat can tell you more than a day with a marker float. Some of the English guys like Johnny Mann didn't use a boat at all because they suspected fish were already in their swim, whilst others in the longer range swims like Frank and Julien baited and located spots with a boat to very good effect. It's all about assessing the water you've got in front of you and then tailoring your approach to suit. Neither tactic will be right everywhere, and we can all learn from each other about efficient boat use. Very few fish showed going into the first night, which is normal after loads of casting and boat work, but not long into dark, John softly approaching swim 10 produced the first bite of what was set to be an extraordinary week. John was our first full-time shop fitter and displays expert. He travels up and down the country making the Korda wall look as sexy as possible, thus making sure our customers have just the right range of kit for their clientele. It's always good to have a few mates to help land and weigh a big one, and with RJ from Holland doubled up with John, fish number 1 was soon in the net and being lifted onto the scales.
44 and a half.
Yeah. Normally fish have to be photoed straight away, but Olivier the owner kindly allowed us to retain the fish till morning so everyone could see these stunners in all their glory. John will openly admit he's far more used to fishing the more intimate waters in and around Essex, so it made perfect sense to put him into a deeper open water area where the fish are known to patrol close in. I've seen many anglers on these kind of trips waste their week by not playing to their strengths and fishing too far outside their comfort zones. John's immediate success shows you don't have to cast 130 yards to catch at Trois Iles.
So the swim I'm in has got a lot of water in front of me, and obviously I've got a whole week ahead of me as well. And I didn't want to rush in and commit myself to any particular spots or anything, but I just sit back, relax, maybe not even cast out was my initial thoughts. Kept things fairly simple, used the rigs that I'd use in the UK, didn't really put any bait out like I say because I didn't want to commit myself, so I just used a combination of a little bag and a stringer on the hook, cast out to the areas that I found, and I thought just sort of see what happens. Great start really, completely out of the blue. Catching a fish of any size is a great start to the week, particularly one that's over 40 pounds as well, which is a real buzz. But yeah, to have one that soon is, well, it's brilliant. Yeah, really made up with it. Okay, so this is the rig I used. Very straightforward. Just 8 inches of dark matter braid, no stripping back, nothing like that, just nice and supple. I've nipped the barb down there because it's a barbless only water, just with a ringfish blowback style. Then on the hair, we've got a banoffee wafter soaked in Scopex Supreme goo, topped off with a piece of white pop-up that had been soaked in Wonderberry goo. Initially, I wasn't going to put a tipper on because I think they get used an awful lot. But then when I thought to myself, I'm not actually putting a lot of bait out, I wanted to kind of maximise my attraction. Maybe later in the week if I get a couple more bites I might go to a more match the hatch scenario, but essentially I'm going to stick with that for a while.
Daniel in Swim A also had a fish from that end of the lake, but in contrast to John's, it came very close to some overhanging trees.
Also ich habe gestern Abend noch mal einen neuen Spot gefüttert. Der liegt 120 Meter von mir entfernt. Ein Baum liegt dort im Wasser. Ganz nah am Ufer geht es direkt runter auf 4 Meter. Ich liege jetzt ungefähr 1 Meter von dem Ufer weg. Hatte die Möglichkeit, um das Ufer rumzulaufen, von der anderen Seite zu füttern. Habe ein paar Cellboilies dort gefüttert, gesoakt mit Liquids. Und habe dann rübergeworfen auf 120 Meter mit einem iqdrig. Habe einen Crank 6 da drauf, Crank X6. Habe einen Fiberwafter, das ist ein Prototyp, ein neuer, mit einer weißen Tigernuss gefischt. Bekam einen einzelnen Piepser, der Bobbin kam kurz hoch, ging runter. Ich dachte erst, wäre ein Brassen. Und dann kam der Run und konnte den Fisch haken und auch sicher landen dann. Heute Morgen kam dieser schöne Fisch mit 20 Kilo als Wecker. Ich habe einen Spot befischt auf 120 Metern, ein paar Cellboilies gefüttert und auf einen iqdrig mit einem Fiberwafter und einer Tigernuss habe ich ihn gefangen. Ich bin mega happy. Also Samstagmittag hat Danny für uns die Plätze ausgesucht. Ich habe Platz 8 bekommen. Es ist ein ziemlich großer Wasserkörper vor mir. Ich habe rechts eine Ecke, wo Snacks drin sitzen, wo viel Holz ist. Habe geradeaus eine Insel, die liegt auf 144 Meter, ist also sehr weit zu fischen. Habe dort auch keine guten Plätze gefunden, weil es nur 1,5 bis 2 Meter maximal tief ist. Es ist dahinter viel Kraut, wo man einen Fisch auch verlieren könnte. Bin da etwas näher gegangen auf 125 Meter. Dort ist wie eine Straße drüben. Habe dann gestern Abend diesen Spot gesehen mit dem Baum drüben. Habe halt die Möglichkeit dort unauffällig zu füttern, weil hier ist sehr viel Angeldruck auf dem Gewässer. Und dachte mir halt, wenn ich dort durch die Büsche quasi ein paar Boilie fütter, dass man dann die Möglichkeit hat, die Fische dort in diese Ecke zu bekommen. Und das hat heute Morgen auch funktioniert. Also ich fische jetzt hier aktuell einen Fiberwafter, einen Wafter, weil der besser ausbalanciert ist. Der Köder geht langsam runter, selbst wenn der Boden nicht ganz klar ist, irgendwie ein bisschen Kraut oder was da ist, setzt er sich dann oben drauf. Habe hier jetzt eine weiße Tigernuss oben drauf, weil die Fische sehr viel runde Köder kennen, sind sehr hohen Angeldruck ausgesetzt und deswegen macht die Nuss für mich einen Unterschied. Habe dann einen Mikro-Ring-Swivel drauf, an einem D-Rig. Ich mache es etwas anders, wie es normal ist, mit einem Crank X in Größe 6. Habe dann einen Kicker drauf, in weiß, passend zur Köderfarbe. Verwende dann einen IQ2, das heißt mit 20 Lip. Und habe dann einen Sinker drauf. Weitergehend habe ich hier dann einen LED-Clip am Safe Zone Leader. Und darin habe ich einen 5 Unzen Blei, weil ich auf weite Distanzen die Route gut aufladen muss. Und der Hackeffekt ist auch besser mit dem schweren Gewicht.
I've chosen to not fish for the first couple of days of the session, which I know is madness when you come out on a week's holiday to France, but this is a lot more than a holiday for me. I want to spend time with all the guys. They work really hard for us all around Europe, and the socialising for me is as important as the fishing. I thought what I'd do, because I've put myself basically in a central swim where I can be close to quite a lot of other anglers. There's no snags out in front of me as well. This sort of open water area really sort of lends itself to baiting and waiting. So I've baited up the first couple of days, and not casting in for the first 24 hours basically meant I could watch and see where the fish were showing. There were definitely bream showing out there. A couple of them might have been carp. And what I did was I just cast the marker lead at the range the fish were showing at, just to feel what it was like on the bottom, you know, and I had the range marked as well. And I found a clear bit straight away. There's a lovely bit of like smooth, sort of soft clay out there. It's 21.5 rod lengths. I'm guessing most people that fish in this swim don't fish as close in as that. They're all trying to go for the horizon. I know off to the left of the swim there's a plateau at a sort of 100, 120 yards. And that's what I was planning to fish at the start. Where I've seen the fish is obviously the place to start. Because I don't know anything about the lake, I think it's when you go somewhere with an open mind, you fish better because you're not planning to fish a certain spot. So I'm going to start at 21.5 rod lengths. I put 3 cog leads out on that area. I can cast those easily into the wind, 21.5 rod lengths. Got a little combi rig on the end, very, very sharp size, but 4 wide gape hex. That's made barbless as well because of the rules on here. And high attract hook baits on every single rod. So I've got a pink almond on one, I've got a white buttercorn on another, and I've got my old favourite Mystic Spice on the third one. So they're all fished as wafters. They're quite big baits, 18 or 20 millers. And I think at this time of the year, a lot of people go really small with their bait. And I think where the fish are obviously more lethargic, one big food item in one place can sometimes snare you a bite when a little one might get missed. So that's what we're starting with. We'll see how we get on.
Whilst I was only starting my game plan, Spooner was already getting itchy feet. Being impatient like this can often push you to fish harder and so catch more fish. All the best anglers I know are constantly thinking about why they aren't catching so they can effect a change and increase their chances.
Right, we're almost 24 hours into the trip now. When I got into the swim yesterday, knowing that the guy had nearly all of his bites from down this left-hand margin, I decided to fan all 3 rods out in that zone. But not only has nothing happened, but when I looked at my line angles, it did look like that my lines could be a little bit tight. It could prevent fish coming into the area and feeding with confidence. So even though it's only early in the week, I've decided to just have a little bit of a mix-up. I've kept 2 down there because the area does look absolutely prime. But out to my right, I've got a wicked looking island and I found a lovely spot just off the side of it. And what I did, so as not to spook the area too much, I've drifted out into the boat just onto the island. I've stayed about 30 yards short and I've catapulted about 1 kilo of Cellum 5 boilies all the way around it, come back in, reeled the marker float in and got the rod back out. So we've just gone into night 2. We've got 2 spots that I'm really confident in. Fingers crossed, let's see what tonight brings.
Spooner was in on the rod furthest down the margin. Moving 1 rod away to the island may have allowed the fish to drift in sooner, who knows, but it certainly hasn't done him any harm.
Well, there's nothing better than playing a carp. But when it's from a new lake, it's just that bit more special. I've just been getting a few little liners through the night, a few little knocks here and there, and just before the bite, in fact, I'd had a few bleeps. As I sat up, the left-hand rod, which is the one tightest down the margin, was roared off. Come on. Yes! Yes! Well, there we go. What a wicked way to start. It's not the big, massive monsters we're hoping for, but you know what? When a carp looks like that, regardless of size, They're always welcome in my net. 25-12. Thank you. Mwah. And don't eat hooks.
Johnny Mann had another one in the early part of the evening. He kept to the same spots and baiting approach, keeping disturbance to a minimum, and it's really paying off.
This time I decided to put some bait out, laced them with a bit of Baileys and a tiny little bit of hemp oil. So I had those sort of soaking during the day, just enough to glaze them, not enough to sort of flood them out or soak them or whatever. And I sort of liberally scattered those around the 3 rods, all fishing at the same range, and let the evening draw in. About half hour earlier than the night before, the middle all went away again, out of the blue. No liners, no beeps, no sign of any fish, just away. Whee! Yeah, and played it in. The guys I was with very kindly landed it for me, and it was another £40 mirror. Yeah, really happy. I think the difference with this fight is the fish was taking line when I got to it. I was a bit quicker on my rod the night before, kind of stopped that one in its tracks, where this one had got a head of steam up. So as I got him nearer, he decided that he wanted to stay in his watery home, and he actually kited quite hard to the left. Round to my left is a bay, and I was just dreading that sinking feeling of when it either goes just solid or you get that and it just grinds to a halt, and you just know in the back of your mind it's game over. But thankfully, it seemed all clear down there. There was no dramas, and apart from the odd little grate from some weed, he came back. A little chug round under the tip, took a bit of line off me, gave a good account for himself, but ended up in the net eventually. But yeah, definitely, yeah, a bit more hairy than the night before, definitely. Rig-wise, didn't really change anything. Did put a pop-up out on one rod just to the side of where I've been baiting, where the other 2 rods are, just to sort of mix it up a little bit, maybe try and get a quicker bite off the side of the spot. Just a different tactic, because although I had a bite on that one rig, I didn't kind of want to put all my eggs in one basket straight away, so I kind of hedged my bets a bit. Like I say, really the main difference in tactic was the fact I actually applied some bait last night. If there was a few fish in the area, I just like the idea that there may not be a lot of bait left. There could be 1 boilie, it could still be 100 boilies, but I just wanted a few more out just to sort of keep anything in the area still in the area. So it's just a habit of mine whenever I'm fishing. Whenever I catch a fish, I always put a bit more bait out before I kind of do anything.
Like John, I like to keep the bait topped up after a bite. Being a marginal zone, I can simply walk down the bank and bait up with a catapult, so there's no disturbance with spotting. This is the spot I had the fish from this early hours of this morning. I don't know, but when you can walk down alongside the spot, haven't got to use a spod, haven't got to use the boat, haven't got to use the throwing stick, it all just feels very crafty. Always check everything about your rig before it's ready to cast. A little steam on the boom there, or be it a coated hook link, will just make sure it's absolutely straight. Always check the hook point, make sure your hair's not tangled, make sure your hair's coming out the back of your knotless knot, bang straight. And then finally, because I fish, it's not a long hair, but it's obviously quite free moving, I just tie it up with a little bit of PVA tape. Again, it's a little bit of faff, especially if you make a miscast, but when it lands on the spot, I've got absolutely zero doubt in my mind. I know my rig is presented exactly as I expect it to be, and all that confidence is worth a bite in itself. That cast was almost spot on. It probably would have been okay, but when in my head I hear words like almost and probably, it means it ain't right. It's this tiny little percentage you've got to put in your favour. If I sat behind that rod tonight after dark and in my heart of hearts wasn't quite happy, I don't know, I always feel like it's affecting the way I'm fishing. So for the sake of 5 or 6 casts now to get it absolutely absolutely bob on. To go to bed confident is a really, really important factor. So I'd rather take my time now. I honestly don't think there's any fish down there now. I really believe they're coming in under the cover of darkness. So whilst it's a bit of faffing about, it's important faffing.
I did a couple more casts and both didn't exactly go to plan. There was a bit of a crosswind on this day which led to my line going into the tree on my second cast, and then on my third I didn't hit the clip properly, which meant my rig was a tangled mess. I cannot stress enough the importance of hitting a clip well above the water and feeling the lead down for that all-important donk.
It's quite nice when you are struggling a little bit to get it exactly where you want it. When you get it right, sometimes do a little carp jig. Sometimes do a little carp jig. When it's right, you get a donk, you hit the clip, you feel like it's a bite. Whenever you're on these sort of long trips, especially when you come to a kind of commercial carp venue with day ticket, it's often got people fishing day in, day out, so the fish react, they change locations due to be under so much pressure, almost 365 days a year. Now I've come into a swim where I had an idea what to do because the guy last week had a really good trip, had a few bites, so I've kind of followed that. However, if it's not working, sometimes it's all right to change, it's all right to try something different. The biggest tip I can give anybody is to use your eyes for exactly what they're made for and just watch whatever swim you've got for the week, watch as much of that water for as long as you can, as much as humanly possible, because sometimes you'll start to see a few fish show and they might be completely in the middle of two areas that you've already baited. And you could, some people, perhaps some lazy people may think, oh, they'll get to my bait eventually, it's all right. But you know what? I might cast a lead at one straight away, as small as lead as I can get away with, to see if you can nick a bite. If that's not an option, or if I don't think that's the right thing to do and I've got fish continually showing, then I'll really pinpoint the spot so I know exactly where it is. So as soon as the activity's died down, perhaps the following day, you can have a little lead around, check what the area's like, may put a bit of bait on it and almost set a trap ready for when hopefully they show up at the same time the following day. Basically, don't just commit to one spot and think it's going to happen, because sometimes it won't. Be prepared to make a little change, let your eyes do the talking and react to whatever you see. Bit better than the 25 pounder. He's still staying well down to the left. Steady pressure. There's quite a lot of weed, quite a few snags. Whilst I've heard nothing actually over my rods, I've heard a few fish out in the open water for the first time. Okay, I feel like it's come far enough away and cut it out a bit now. Go. Yes! Plan's working. It's another bite, and because it's come that bit earlier, makes me think there's a chance that other rod to go at some point as well, so things are good.
With Spooner's fish safely in the bag till morning, it sounded like Johnny Mann at the other end of the lake was into something a lot bigger.
Bigger one. The common. No. It is the common, I think. It is. Yes. Whoa. Jeez. Shout. Woo!
RJ had been looking back at the shots of previous captures to give him something to really go for, so he instantly knew it was one of the two massive commons in the lake.
Shout! Yes! John Mann! Have a look at the belly. I can't see in there properly. Have a look. It's him. What? It can't be.
Whoa! Okay, let's just chill out. Whoa.
It's a fish that's been 80 plus at pretty much any time of the year, but in November it was sure to be at a top weight. What a result.
Man, I've seen a fish of 30 kilos last week and this is more.
Really?
Have a look.
Man.
How high?
That's not. How big? That's not what? All right. Wait. Yeah. Wait. Is that better? Yes. Take the 2 kilos off then. Tell me. 87.
It has to be 87, sorry.
87. Oh, I feel weak. Mega. Right.
This is quite literally the reason we all go carp fishing. And once again, with Olivier's permission, we safely retained the monster until first light, so everyone could see her in all her glory. But first, it's Spooner's turn to show us last night's success, albeit on a much smaller scale.
Well, there we go, a little bit bigger than the first one, 27-12. And if they keep getting bigger, who knows how big the next one's going to be.
Everyone on the trip wound in to come and see this amazing creature. Anything over 80 pounds is considered a globally big carp, and it's something you only get to see once or twice in your whole angling life. It's hard to explain what a result this is for the team, but clearly this is a fish of a lifetime for John.
That's it. Now, ahead of the fish.
Often when I'm doing shots of a real big one, the captor can't hold it properly to show it in all its glory, but Johnny Boy heroed it like a boss, and we got some epic pics. When you catch a monster like this, always try to keep it in the water the whole time. It's far, far safer for the fish, and if it flips over water, all it can ever do is fall back into the lake. Years ago, we sadly lost a 90 pounder at Gigantica because it wasn't handled properly on the bank. So if you're ever lucky enough to catch the lake record, please try to keep it in the water the whole time.
Tactics wise, Johnny Boy, I noticed you sort of hung fire on the first day and wasn't rushing to get out fishing.
You've got a whole week ahead of you. For me as well, the kind of priority, because we're here on work as well as pleasure.
We are.
Obviously we had to put some marquees around the lake and whatever. So
When you say we, you mean you?
Pretty much, yeah, you know. So I kind of put the fishing to the back of my head for a little while. And then when that was all done, I thought, well, the evening's drawing in a little bit. Let's just see and wait, because this particular swim has got a lot of water in front of it. You know, there's a lot to explore, and I didn't want to be rushing around on dark, whipping around with a plumb rod or this, that, and the other. So I thought I'd just not worry too much about the fishing, and have a real good check out the next day sort of thing. But obviously, after we were chatting at dinner and whatnot, and you'd happened to mention about one of the fish that had come out of this swim being 17 rod.
17 rod bench, yeah.
I thought, well, after dinner, I came back here. I thought, well, I'll wrap it up to 17. I'll have a couple of casts. If it lands and I can feel it land, I feel it's going to be fishing, then I'll just leave them out for the night, nothing to lose.
Is this in the dark or in the day?
It's about, it's 8:30, 8:45. It was after dinner. You could sort of ascertain that one drop was slightly duller than the other, and that was in weed. So I thought, well, I'll ignore the weed one. But no, I thought, I felt that land. It's going to be fishing. Let's sort of have them. And I didn't put any bait out. All I put on was a little stick, just for a bit of added attraction, and 2 baits just chopped in half, just so there was a little something there that might be just kicking out a little bit more than just a single hook bait.
When you were leading about, you were doing that with your fishing rods?
Yes.
And just a lead on, or did you have the whole rig on, or what?
The whole rig, just, you know, I literally just, I didn't even have the hook link on to start with. I just had the lead and just cast it out there for a couple of drops sort of thing.
Right, okay.
Until I sort of
felt something that I thought was fishable.
And then as things have gone on, you've then started to bait. You had a
Yes.
bite the first night.
Yep, bite the first night.
And then you've started to trickle bait into the area.
Yep.
So why not just fish singles for the rest of the week then, if it's worked for you at the start?
My initial thought was off that bite, because it sort of came within a couple of hours of casting out. I thought, well, maybe there's fish been visiting here from the previous week, and I'm sort of like just sort of piggybacking off the back of any bait that may be laying out there.
Yeah.
At the time, I didn't assume it to be maybe a natural patrol route or anything. I thought maybe they're coming here for the food, or at least if they're in the area, they're then coming here for the food. So that's why, you know,
keep the food going in.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep it drizzling in to give them a reason to keep coming back. So I started off with, I think I counted out 180 baits, 60 per rod. Don't know why, it's just a nice even amount, a little bit of OCD there or whatever. That was my opening gambit on Sunday evening. I had another bite Sunday night. I baited up off the back of that, thinking if there's any fish in the area, then, you know, because that's something I do in my fishing in the UK all the time. I mean, as soon as the fish is in the net, I'm generally getting bait back out, particularly if you're spotting or whatever, and you've got a shoal of fish out there, you want to keep them feeding. So bait strapped back out there. I baited again with another 100 or so boilies on the Sunday morning, but didn't fish. I haven't fished during the day at all.
Is that conscious, or is that because you've got work to do?
Little from A, little from B, really. I just like the fact that, okay, I've had a night bite, so they may not be there during the day anyway.
Yeah.
And if there is the odd one or two milling through, I just like the idea that, you know, there's nothing there to upset them.
They can pick a few baits up. There's no lines in the swim.
Yeah.
There's no reason for them to do the off.
No, nothing. Exactly that. It's just a complete. You know, it's as if there's no one there.
Well, there is no one there.
No, this is true. Yes, fishing, not fishing.
And this is the technology then.
Yep.
Inline lead, which is, I mean, I love inlines. You know, at the end of the day, like that's one that I designed, but I still don't use them. You know, I've just got out of the habit of using inlines. And it's nice to see them set up because it's so streamlined, isn't it? You know, you can just see it ain't going to tangle, you know.
There's very little to it, you know, nothing can tangle really. The amount of people that have looked at that rig and gone, God, I haven't cast one of those in ages, which is precisely why I use it, you know.
Yeah. Still cast well.
Yes.
Little anti-tangle sleeve on the front, like you say, to push it. That's a braided hook link, sort of 7-8 inches long?
Yeah, exactly that.
Right.
20 pound dark matter. I mean, it does sink extremely well, but because I'm fishing like a bag and a string on the end of it, not allowing the bait to sort of act naturally as it lands, you know, okay, there's a chance for that to loop up.
For it to loop up off the bottom.
It's just added insurance. I'm pretty sure, you know, 95% of the time that will kick over, but just to be sure, I just put a little sinker on there anyway, just as an in case.
And hook bait wise, that's it's Wonderberry, isn't it?
Yep, that's Wonderberry.
With what underneath?
It's a Banoffee wafter that's been laying Scopex Supreme for quite a while. As long as the wafter's sitting on the deck, whether it sinks as fast or as a bottom bait or slightly slower than the bottom, I don't care. As long as it just sits down, that's all I really want that to do.
The way it sits on the bottom can make so much difference to whether you're getting bites or not. If you have it critically balanced, it can basically be sitting off the bottom almost as far as a pop-up, can't it?
Yeah.
To start off with, and then overnight it'll eventually take water on and find its way down, where you've got it sitting against the bottom basically with the hook laying flat, and it's basically sitting like that.
Exactly that.
From the word go.
Yes.
And you're getting bites within a couple of hours of casting out. So that's obviously the way to go, isn't it?
It is this time, yeah. And we'll stick with it till it's not, you know. That's all we really can. That's all I do really. Just keep it simple, really. That's the bottom line. It's the go-to rig for me.
Simple and effective, John. A bit like you.
Yeah.